So welcome, Emily. Tell me what led you to train as a CBT therapist. What was it about CBT that grabbed you?
It actually found me first because of where I studied at the University of Edinburgh. And in South Africa, our program for clinical psych and counseling psych, they're more broad and you learn everything, all of the different modalities. But this program at Edinburgh was CBT focused. And what I really loved about it was just that it's so structured. It's got this framework that's just based in evidence, and it's got a clinical structure that you follow. It's based in the here and now, which I found very comforting because it was like, here's what we can do about something here. We could start something, it's active. I found it empowering for both myself as a clinician, but also as a patient. And I was just thinking, people can come forward with what's going on and we can say, let's make a plan. And I just loved that. That was really why.
And it focuses on behavior change, doesn't it? Which is why
Exactly.
it may be so useful for people listening to this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're South African living in Cape Town?
Correct. So originally Cape Town, born and raised, and then it was just in 2023 that I went over to Edinburgh to do the masters. So that finished at the end of last year, and I graduated a little bit further on last year. And now I'm back and I am staying in Cape Town. I love it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, but I'm so grateful that I did see some more of the world and got to stay in Edinburgh.
Yeah. And you've already set up a practice of your own, haven't you?
I'm registered to do counseling while I wait for the psychology registration. And I'm able to see patients or clients and share tips and just work within that scope, which has been amazing.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
can you give us a couple of tips? What about in early sobriety? Any exercises that people could use in the very beginning when they've only just stopped drinking? With me, it was 6 o'clock in the evening, which was when I used to open my bottle of wine. The only way I managed to change that behavior was by getting out of the house and going for a long walk every evening, creating another habit. So what about a CBT exercise?
Yes. So what you described about noticing the cue in your environment and what got you to pick up your glass and then replacing that behavior with something else that could fulfill perhaps what alcohol was giving you. That is a very important aspect in CBT, that behavioral replacement, as well as noticing your environment. So that's one very big one. One of the other ones is the thought processing. So we mentioned behavior, but there's the thought processing too. And that's where an acronym comes in, which is an acronym for a tool, and it's STOP. So STOP, and that stands for the S, actually stop. That's when the urge comes on and you just pause just for a little bit. Then T is to take a breath. So you interrupt your nervous system and that urge, and you start calming down and realizing it like tricks your brain in a way, realizing that what I'm feeling right now is not a command from my body, it's an urge. Then O is to observe. This is where the thoughts come in. Observe that command thought that's in your head. Understand what it is, or even just write it down, put it out loud so that you're capturing it. And then P is to proceed. So you're not running on autopilot, you're proceeding with intention. And it's just a short little one, but in that way, you're interrupting the cycling of it and the automation that alcohol dependence has. Yeah, there's that. And then the other one that I was thinking of as I was preparing was something called urge surfing.
Our coach recommended it. She has a glass jar, and she said every time you have an urge, just sit with it, and when it's passed, put a marble in the jar and watch them.
Okay, nice.
Watch them build up. So that was quite nice. And our same coach, she's often saying to people, we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I loved your Instagram post of the different chairs sitting with it, because when we are drinkers and we're so used to numbing our emotions away, if we're not comfortable with it, we think, oh, let's have a drink now, instead of just sitting there thinking, okay, if it's going to pass.
100%. To build the tolerance of sitting with the discomfort is one of the big tools in CBT.
Yeah. The only way to build that tolerance is to sit with it. There's no shortcuts, really.
No, exactly.
From a CBT perspective, why do you think so many people turn to alcohol?
I was thinking about this, and I think the number one is anxiety. But even taking it further back, you'll know one of the effects of alcohol is that calming, like dampening effect for most people. To be able to drink something and have your nervous system do a sigh of relief, for people with anxiety, it makes any situation that they walk into more tolerable. We are getting outside of that window of sitting with discomfort, and we're giving ourselves something that we're able to use immediately that's socially acceptable. And then I was thinking also about, with or without anxiety, what I'm seeing a lot of is the learned behavior. Seeing it as you're growing up and noticing that it's an acceptable way to deal with any kind of emotion, whether that be good or bad, you're celebrating, or you got fired, or you're sad, or you're happy. It's this learned behavior that's a go-to.
Yeah. The kind of conditioning, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. And it gets negatively reinforced like all the time. Oh, I feel a little bit worse, I'll drink.
The societal norms don't help either, because if we say, oh, we're taking a break from alcohol, friends said, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, if you say, I've given up smoking, everybody's thrilled for you.
You get a clap and everything. And yeah, any other substance really is not as ingrained as alcohol is. Yeah.
And as a newly graduated young person, do you get the impression that young people don't drink as much as my generation?
I think people are more aware of it.
Yes.
And there's more leeway if you were to say, I would like to stop drinking. It's more comfortable to be able to do that in our generation, I'd say. But going back to studying when I was in my late 20s, turning 30, the culture is still the same. It's still intense binge drinking, and that's how you get to know people. It's all the social stuff. In corporate, I found the same. So I think the structure is still there societally, but people have more space to be able to say, I'm not going to, or I'm going to do dry January without people pushing too hard.
Exactly. And I think people are at least more aware of the dangers, because when I was in my 20s, we had no idea that drinking was bad for us. Linked to cancer and lots of diseases, had no idea at all. So at least the education is out there now. It's in the public domain.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about limiting beliefs. I used to wake up with a hangover and think, oh, I've got to quit drinking. And then my subconscious mind would be saying, but you'll lose all your friends, and how are you going to have fun, and how will you relax? So you get this inner struggle going on. And it's because of the limiting beliefs that we formed when we're grown up and been conditioned into thinking that drinking is normal. What's your thought on how strong our beliefs are?
I think they're extremely strong. They get linked to how you see the world. In CBT, we have 2 layers to it, which is your rules for living. So your beliefs linked to how you see the world and how you go about it day by day. So if you have a belief, okay, my friends will not stick around me, I won't be fun anymore, that will shape all of your actions, and your rules for living will be, I need to have a drink so that I can maintain friendships. And linking it to childhood, that's that other layer of your core belief, which a lot of people don't know what theirs are. They get formed in late adolescence or early adulthood, and it could be something like, I'm not good enough, or I'm unlovable, whatever it might be, it's core in there and people aren't really sure what it is. So they're very strong. And what CBT aims to do is not completely dismiss the belief, but to rather look at it and say, part of this might be true, but what part of it is true and what's the other truths connected to it? So that would be, let's say, I deserve this drink. When you get home from work, I deserve this. And CBT will ask, okay, what do you deserve? What is it that you deserve? And the answer can be relaxation. Okay, so it's true. Drinking maybe will help you feel relaxed for that first hour or for the evening. But what's true after that? It's that you don't actually get good sleep. You become maybe irritable. It interrupts your sleep, your daily routine. You might not remember things. So you might wake up the next day feeling far less relaxed than you initially set out to be. So it's like picking apart that belief a little bit,
Yes.
giving a bit of credit to what truth might be there, but saying what else?
And you were saying that sometimes we don't know what these core beliefs are if they've been formed in adolescence or something. How do we surface them in the first place? How do we find out what's there?
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's usually done with motivational interviewing with a therapist, or do you use Socratic questioning at all?
Sounds interesting. Tell us what that is.
It's based on Socrates, but it is that finding out from who's sitting in front of you, letting them come to the conclusion themselves, and setting up the question in a way that they will give you more information rather than close-ended questions.
Yeah.
And that's linked to the motivational interviewing, where you're wanting to give the person in front of you the opportunity to share without judgment and to lead them down a path that would reveal their irrational beliefs and their rules for living, which would give you, let's call it the crust, that you then dig down on and keep asking until you eventually get to a core belief. So it's a lot of digging and downward questioning.
I believe that surfacing them is half the battle, really. Once we're aware of them, we can tackle them and try to change them. But when they're just invisible, it's really hard because we can't understand why we do stuff.
Yeah, and it can feel counterintuitive to what values you want to have.
We have lots of people. I did it myself for a whole decade. I was trying to cut down, trying to moderate my drinking and failing, trying and failing. And it wasn't until I gave up completely that I made some progress. So what do you think is going on psychologically with someone who's hopping on and off the wagon endlessly and really means to change, but they just can't seem to maintain that change?
I think one of the things that I see a lot of the time and that I can understand is the bargaining of not fully understanding why that person has been, let's say, chosen to not be able to tolerate alcohol as well as others. So that comparison that happens socially, seeing others being able to just have one drink or seeing others not really care about what it does and saying, okay, why do I have to go and be completely sober? I don't want to do that. So not fully being bought into the, I shouldn't be drinking, or it's not the best choice for me. And then bargaining just one, or I'll just have a sip, or just the weekends, even when they've been sober for a fair amount of time.
It's classic. After 3 months, I've had a nice break.
Exactly.
I'm sure I can moderate.
Exactly. So it's that. It's like the maybe also forgetting how it was before because those 3 months have been successful.
Exactly. Yeah, we talk about something called fading effect by.
Yeah.
It's because our brain tends to remember positive things about the drinking and the negative things have faded away a little bit. We just want to convince ourselves that we're fine now, that we're fixed.
Exactly.
But sadly,
Yeah.
once one's crossed that line, I don't think one can ever be fixed. I tell people to find peace in your head. Just accept that you can't drink.
Yeah.
put all the energy that you used to put into moderating into building an alcohol-free lifestyle that you genuinely enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be the first 3 CBT steps for someone who wants to change their relationship with alcohol?
First step for anything in CBT is data collection. So it's getting that awareness before you put something into action. And the best way to do it that I've found, and one of the common CBT tools, is called a thought record. So when that craving thought comes up, or the urge, or just the, oh, I want to go and grab a drink, or should I, that thought, to notice it, write it down, and put the elements around it. You were saying at around 6 p.m., your environment is clear to you, and that's your cue. So a person would write down in their thought record, here's the thought that I had, here's was the situation, the behavior, and the feelings attached to it. And there's no judgment. You're just collecting. You're putting down what it felt like in your body. You're putting down how emotionally you felt. And that would be step 1. Then it would be to challenge the thought. So that's a typical CBT thing, is to thought challenge. And you would ask for evidence for and against. And you would try and come up with something that felt more realistic versus going the opposite way and trying to be completely positive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So an example of that would be someone that says, I can't relax without it. And you would challenge it and say, is there anything else maybe that makes you feel relaxed that you could do instead of? Or does it actually make you feel fully relaxed? That kind of challenging. And then it would be to build your toolbox of coping techniques, things that actually work. And this relates to what we were saying with the acceptance of not drinking in your life. You can't just have that without having alternatives that make your life full. So what are things that fit in and realistically do help you get what you were getting from alcohol in a less unhelpful way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds very useful. Yeah, we always
Yeah.
recommend that people keep a journal at least for some of their sobriety period, and people find that very useful to process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's talk about 𝐬𝐮𝐬.
Sometimes I think she should take over my job. 6 months old, staffy, and just the light of my life. She has been with me, gosh, it must only be like 3 or 4 months now, but it just feels like forever.
In the rooms when you're chatting to people.
If people are happy with it, then she will sit there and she'll either sit with them and be happy for some attention from someone else, or she'll be busy with her toys or a bone or something. And people find such comfort in just either having her there or just stroking her and touching her. But she is getting trained to actually be a proper therapy animal that can help in the session or go to hospitals with us, go to schools, all of that. So she's in training.
How do dogs help us to regulate our emotions? Why are they such a comfort?
It's this living being that cannot have malice or judgment. So it's the knowledge that this being that is with you will love you with no conditions attached to it and be so happy when you give them any kind of attention, or if you try. There's no failure in trying in front of an animal, especially a dog. And there's studies that have gone out about how they affect dopamine and oxytocin when you just gaze into a dog's eyes, and they feel it too, apparently. So there's literally neurochemistry involved in how a dog will make you feel good. The gazing into their eyes. But even further, if we were to look at it behaviorally, they give you a routine. They force you to get out of the house. They make you move. And as you'll know, those things immediately start to make you feel better. You get a sense of purpose. You get your body moving, which affects your mind and your mood. And yeah, it's a lot. They're beautiful creatures.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
for people that live alone, just the idea of having something to care for, that's very therapeutic in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
Conditional love is amazing.
yeah, it's huge. I was thinking about it in my situation, how she's just helped me. And if I feel a low mood, it's that I must get up and go out and exercise in some form and interact with other people because they want to say hello to her. See, I'm interacting, I'm speaking to people, we're going new places because I'm Googling what's pet friendly.
Yes.
Yeah, it changes your life.
Talk to us about your app. That looked pretty cool to me. I was looking at it this morning.
Yes. So it came to me because I felt like there was a gap when I was studying and doing placement, especially we saw adolescents and younger adults, and between sessions, they were not interested in doing any of the out of session work. They always lost the pieces of paper, or they didn't have email, or whatever the case may be. And I asked my supervisor, what do you do with kids when you need to give them some work to do, like the thought record? And the only thing that we were doing was paper form or this really outdated app, which was just not user friendly in any way and very minimal. So I thought I'd love to just tackle that in the time that I'm waiting for my thesis to be marked and don't know what's going on and just sitting in this waiting period. So I said, I know that I want an app that is accessible, especially in South Africa, for people to just hop on and use what fits for them. And I want it to be a little bit more fun and engaging versus what I saw was out there. So that's where it came from. I watched YouTube and I spoke to ChatGPT and I said, help me. How do I do this? What do I need for it? I spoke to a couple of people who have developed apps themselves and asked for the basics. And I spent hours and hours looking through lines of code and adding things and just figuring it out, which was a very fun but frustrating side project for me.
Do you give it away to people, or what do you do with it?
Yeah. At the moment, because it's still in a phase of I'm getting feedback, I'm working on the back end, it's not fully polished to where I want it to be. So at the moment, I'm spreading it everywhere and saying, please use it. I'd love feedback. See if it's helpful for you. Let me know what's not helpful. And I've got a network actually of doctors who I used to work with in my previous work as a pharmaceutical rep. And I've just said to them, what do you think of this? And some of them have come back to me and said, fantastic, we will script it to patients. So it's getting out there through different avenues.
Would it help someone that had a craving to drink?
Yeah, what it would be useful there, especially with people who are struggling with wanting to stop drinking, is that it would be immediately available and you wouldn't have to say, oh, I need to wait for my therapist next week, Thursday, whatever the case is. And then as soon as the urge or the thought arises, you'd pick it up and go directly to the tool that's helpful for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the thought record is built in. There's breathing exercises built in for that take a breath section. And there's a journal as well.
Nice. If someone's listening to this, Emily, and they feel really stuck in their drinking and they just don't know how they're going to get out of this, what would you say to them?
I think the fact that you would be watching this and have researched and come to this point where you are on a channel that's talking about sobriety, that curiousness is already a step taken in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the advice that I give to anyone that's looking to make a change is that you just need one small step.
Yeah.
And whether that be to start your thought record, book a session, speak to someone like yourself, Janet, or sign up to a mailing list, it's just that one small step in the right direction and getting momentum going to start getting unstuck.
Absolutely. I like what you said about being curious. I think that's very important, not to feel that they've got to be perfect from day one.
No,
Just be curious. What would a few days be like without alcohol?
absolutely. Yeah.
And how can people find you?
Instagram is the best place to find me. I'm posting there as much as possible, and my website will be live soon, which I'll just pop in the bio.